Worth the journey?
I should say so. Oh, the noise, John.
There's quite a number of tourists stop by here nowadays. It's by far the most spectacular fall.
John?
What?
Do you know that gentleman?
Who?
There. He seems to know you.
No, I don't think so. Damned impudence of the man.
He must be foreign. Waving like that to a stranger.
We are the foreigners, my dear.
Dr. Watson? Dr. John Watson, is it not?
That is my name, monsieur.
And, madame. Enchanté.
Monsieur?
I should be glad to know, sir, how I may have made your acquaintance.
We share a profession, you could say.
I am a general practitioner.
Of course. And you are here for your honeymoon.
You seem to know a lot about us.
Chère madame, it is my vocation to know about people.
If you are unwilling or unable to explain how you came to be following us, sir.
I am a pèlerinage, a pilgrim, you could say.
Why in the world here?
To see with my own eyes the famed Reichenbach Falls.
The Reichenbach. John?
Which your husband, madame, has done so much to make famous.
These are the Reichenbach Falls?
Yes.
To see where my admired confrère struggled with the infamous professor. To fall, apparently, to the death of both of them.
Did you think I wouldn't find out?
I was about to tell you.
It is the most wonderful place, Doctor.
Do you think I would mind?
And it is exactly as you have described it. I can hear you now cry, Holmes, Holmes!
I wanted to lay a ghost.
And there was no answer above the water's roar. Ah, it was brilliant. Oh, and by chance to meet you, Doctor.
Oh, John.
You could say my happiness is complete.
You are too good, sir.
Oh, I forgot. My car. Doctor, chère madame. And so, goodbye. Goodbye.
Au revoir. Who was that? John? What is his card?
Dear goodness.
I'll wait, Holmes.
We'll send for you.
Don't want to be a burden, you know.
He means he wants to sleep, Mr. Dodd.
Good morning, sir. Why, Mr. Dodd?
Ralph, this is Mr. Sherlock Holmes, the consulting detective. We wish to see Godfrey Emsworth.
If you will have the goodness to wait one moment, gentlemen.
Do you garden, Ralph?
I beg your pardon, sir.
Your gloves?
The cold.
Of course.
If you would care to step into the hall.
Thank you, Ralph.
I will inform Colonel Emsworth of your arrival.
Thank you. That should be interesting.
Oh, Mr. Holmes, your hat.
I can write my own clumsiness, thank you.
Just you get the old colonel, Ralph, will you?
By God! Mr. Dodd, Colonel.
Did I not tell you you are ordered off the premises, you infernal busybody?
And Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
At your service, Colonel.
Damn your service, sir. Ralph, telephone the county police. Tell the inspector there are burglars in the house. You call me thief, sir?
One moment, I have to warn you, Colonel. Any police interference would bring about the very catastrophe you so dread.
Ralph!
If you'll permit me.
What the devil are you waiting for? Ring up the police at once. Tell them if not thieves.
Now, this, Colonel, this is what has brought us here.
How did you know this?
It is my business to know things. My trade.
Why, Godfrey, old man. This is fine.
Don't come near me, Jimmy.
What?
This is very sudden, Colonel.
These gentlemen have forced our hand.
Keep your distance.
It disarranges all our plans.
Can't be helped, Mr. Kent.
No, gentlemen, it can't. Nor should it.
You may well stir.
Well, what do you expect of me?
Not quite the smart Lance Corporal you knew, Jimmy, am I now?
What in heaven's name is the matter with you?
It's why I don't exactly court visitors. Mr. Kent here has been my only constant companion.
Keeper, you mean?
The only thing I keep, sir, is this young man's secret.
Until now.
I saw you at my window, Godfrey.
I shouldn't have done it, but old Ralph told me you were staying at the house. I couldn't help taking a peep at you.
My friend.
How did you come to this condition, Mr. Emsworth?
Here goes nothing then. Come on, boy. Like the wind. Go on.
The Buffelsprewed skirmish. Godfrey was hit.
Galloped several miles before I finally fainted. Fell off the saddle.
We thought you'd been killed.
It might have been better. By the time I came to myself, it was night.
And cold, I'll warrant.
That kind of numb cold. Deadly. Sickening. I roused myself up, and then I saw this house, close behind me. And weak and ill as I was, I dragged myself to it. My only hope. There was a big room, several beds in it, like a barracks.
And so you slept?
Lucky to survive so far.
When did you wake?
Morning. And instead of coming into a world of sanity, it was as if I'd wakened into a nightmare. I was in a great, bare, whitewashed dormitory. There was a man in front of me. Small, dwarf-like, with a huge, bulbous head. That was his hands. He was waving them about in excitement. Horrible. Like brown sponges.
Deformed.
It is often thus.
Well, how can that be? Godfrey?
He wasn't alone. Behind him stood a whole group. Seemed intensely amused at it all. Oh, but not me. For not one of them was a normal, whole human being. Every one of them was twisted, or swollen, or disfigured in some awful way. And their laughter.
My God.
Yes. It was a leper hospital, Jimmy.
And you?
And I had slept in a leper's bed. Don't touch me, Jimmy.
My God.
I hoped against hope. But I was not to escape. As you see.
And so you conspired to avoid the consequences.
Segregation for life, among strangers. Never a hope of release. Sir, this is my son.
You may say I was lucky.
Lucky?
I was home, in this lonely house. We had Ralph and his wife as our only servants, whom we could utterly trust. This lodge where I could live. And Mr. Kent here was prepared to stay with me.
Under pledge of secrecy. But so much now for that.
My God. And will you then, Godfrey, be dragged to your doom? All through my determination to seek you out?
Oh, you're not to blame, Mr. Dodd.
I would not have forced your hand thus, Colonel Emsworth. When I wrote, rather than spoke, the word leprosy, it was to indicate to you that my discretion could be trusted. And who knows, but good may come of this exposure.
How can any good come of it?
May I ask, Mr. Kent, if you're an authority on this complaint?
I am a surgeon, sir. I have the ordinary knowledge of the educated medical man.
I don't seek to doubt your competence, sir, but perhaps you may permit of a second opinion.
If you have a specialist in mind.
But look here, if this second opinion forces us to segregate Godfrey, I'd rather not have it at all.
You need have no fear of that. In the carriage is waiting a friend of mine, a specialist in the field of tropical disease, in whose discretion you may trust as completely as in my own. You may have heard of him, Mr. Kent. Sir James Saunders.
Heard of him? The most distinguished...
So that's who he is?
Oh, I shall indeed be proud to hear his advice.
Please ask Sir James in, Mr. Holmes. Our secret is out in any case. What greater knowledge can hurt us now?
Well, well. So, you met Monsieur Jules Gervais at the Reichenbach Falls. One of my professional rivals, Mrs. Watson.
One of many.
But a good one. On pilgrimage, eh?
We all were, Mr. Holmes, though we didn't necessarily know it at the time.
You flatter me.
No, Holmes. We merely render unto Caesar.
Well, I wrote some good things of you, didn't I?
Let us see, shall we, since you now feel you can do without me, to the extent of becoming your own biographer.
An experiment, Doctor. You've urged me to do it often enough.
Page 1. A companion to whom the future is always a closed book.
You missed limited ideas there at the beginning.
Yes, but exceedingly pertinacious just afterwards, and you entirely ignore all the good things I put down about you.
You certainly failed to mention that I should have diagnosed a case of leprosy right away.
But you were not here, my dear fellow. That's the point.
In any case, it was not leprosy after all.
Ichthyosis. I can recognize pseudo-leprosy as well as Sir James Saunders. And Holmes, here, on page 44, in strides the great dermatologist to reveal that Godfrey Emsworth has merely a benign skin complaint, a deus ex machina, surely.
A literary device of long and stainless pedigree.
Even so, were I a critic, I should say you skimmed rather lightly over the explanation of your deductive basis.
If I do that, it's because there's no more to be said.
Your readers expect it.
Your readers, John.
Precisely, Mrs. Watson. My readers do not yet exist. What putative expectations, Doctor, would you have me satisfy?
You could have made more play of your other theories.
My dear fellow, there was no credible alternative.
It's possible Godfrey Emsworth could have been in hiding for a crime.
But in that case, what crime? And why would the family not have sent him away, as they claim?
That voyage round the world would have been quite the thing.
Very well, but the madness theory?
Well, it's more plausible, yes. There was the presence of Mr. Kent as a sort of keeper.
And he did keep the lodge door locked.
Yes, but no superintendent of the insane would be so lax as to allow his charge to get loose like that, to come down at night to have a look at his friend.
And so you are left with the theory of disease.
Of a kind for which the authorities would enforce segregation.
I would have been helped enormously had Mr. Dodd been able to tell me what was the paper he saw Kent reading. The Lancet, say, or the British Medical Journal would have been conclusive.
Well, I should have said leprosy from the moment Mr. Dodd mentioned the whiteness.
Quite so, Doctor. The indications of the bleached skin, however, were enough to alert even me, and I confirmed my suspicion immediately upon my arrival at Tuxbury Old Park.
A pantomime with your hat.
Yes, there was a strong smell of disinfectant. It came from the gloves old Ralph had just taken off.
What, to avoid contagion, you mean?
Certainly. It was quite unnecessary, of course, as Sir James was at once able to confirm.
And shall you publish your narrative, Mr. Holmes?
I think not. I am compelled to admit, having taken the pen into my own hand, as never before, I am a great admirer of my Watson.
So am I, Mr. Holmes.
In The Blanched Soldier, Sherlock Holmes was played by Clive Medicine and Dr. Watson by Michael Williams, with Hannah Gordon as Mrs. Watson and Robert Glenister as James Dodd. Colonel Emsworth was played by Derek Waring, his butler Ralph by John Woodnutt, Mr. Kent by Gordon Reed, Sir James Saunders by Gerald James, Godfrey Emsworth by Nicholas Bolton, Lance Corporal Simpson by Tom Bevan, Trooper Anderson by Peter Kenny, The Leper by Don McCorkindale, and Monsieur Jules Gervais by Olivier Pierre. Other parts were played by members of the cast. The violinist was Leonard Friedman. The Blanched Soldier was dramatized for radio by Roger Danes and directed by Enid Williams.